Hello, and welcome back. Northstar here with, after a bit of a break, another Avorion Let's Play video. I know it's been a while, and this will probably be shorter. I've been stressed out, and the longer I've gone without doing these videos, the more I've stressed out about not doing another, but, I don't know. When I play this game on my own, no pressure to perform, and I just mess around with mining for a long time if I feel like it, or build sloppy ships, or big stations, let's see. That was pause. All right, cool. Just getting a sense of the keys. What did I set as the select button? There. I remembered more than I thought. I have played this to a very high level. I hate when people come in the comments and are just like, "You should see my ship built in the workshop." It's cool that you're enthusiastic about the game. It's cool that you have workshop designs. I don't need to pull yours. Half the game is the creativity of building stuff myself, and honestly, I know what I'm doing. If I do something that doesn't have enough energy, I think I explained this before when I built it. That's because I was cutting corners and doing things sloppily because I'm just trying to push inwards, not spend too much mental energy on optimizing everything. I'm worried about other things at the very least, like my subsystems. Is it optimal? No. Should I probably not be neglecting it? Yeah. But that's what it is. I've got long COVID. I have limited ability to focus on things, so just one thing at a time. And I'm sorry. I hate. This is one of the things I'm stressing over is not being able to do better by you guys. But it's a bad disease. I had it like a month and a half of just really bad days. Now mid-March. I don't know when this video go up. Probably around this. There's not a buffer on this series like there are in some others. I've been having some better days, so I feel alright doing this. Let's do a little screaming into pillow and deep breathing and other things to just try and deal with my stress here. I'm under a lot of stress. Government bodies screw me with applying for disability. State government was surprisingly helpful once I reached someone who wanted to help, but the feds are gaslighting me over having work history that I did these jobs. They don't have it in the records, and they're acting like it's not there, not allowing me to correct it because it's been more than 3 years next month. It's just a freaking hassle, and it makes me want to. God, we have such a messed up system. Makes me want to just yell at these people, but that doesn't help any. All right, mining subsystems. People were saying, "Oh, you should grab them. I want you to look at this range. I want you to really look at this range." It's 5.7 kilometer range when permanently installed. That's nothing. That's the reason I don't mess with these is because green and white mining subsystems, I just find the range isn't usable. I've never ever enjoyed using it when it's below about yellow rarity. Usually that's what I'm using when I'm actually using mining subsystems to find asteroids. Also, I'm going to be moving to higher tier subsystems. So, although this is a tritium one, so the material level is fine. But a lot of times it gives like titanium ones or neonite. I'm going to want to be able to find oganite, which this is a sufficiently high material tier. It's just a matter of limited range is the problem. Anyways, energy capacity, recharge rate. What I actually want is energy generation, though. A turret ATCS 3. It's better usually have dedicated civilian or military. It's been a while since I even looked at my ships. What are they equipped with? Civil. Good. C, TCS 4. This is a mining ship. It's got, 8 slots on civil. But of course, because I need to defend myself, it's got 7 on military. These are also cheaper. With more expensive guns, I could use less, but it's just to get enemies to bug off. They still attack me sometimes, and you have people like, oh, you're running away from enemies. Yes, I am running away from enemies because this is a ship that every corner was cut on. I build ships that corners are not cut on. And 2, I've done that when I feel like it, when I'm further closer to the core. Yes, it doesn't matter how well equipped your ship is, they will get destroyed off map if you don't attend to the warnings. I've had ships that have 8 times the average DPS of pirate ships in a region. They still get destroyed by pirates. It doesn't matter. You have to. This is why I don't like having huge fleets, because this game is not well designed for having huge fleets. I like the fantasy of having a big fleet, but the game dev hasn't realized it's incredibly annoying if your ships just blow up if you don't go and fly them and they get ambushed. And the missions, you can always set them up to last like 6 hours. I want to set 48-hour missions, and I want ships that are sufficiently well defended to automatically win against ambushes and then recontinue their missions, because the missions get interrupted and you have to reassign them. That's what I was talking about with them getting interrupted. Even if I somehow mistaken about them getting destroyed, the missions definitely get interrupted, and that's an issue. Because then they sit idle until you give them a new one. Let's see. Repair laser, purifying miner, titanium tier though. Quality triple training gun. I could afford one of these. What's the DPS? 21.9. It's plasma for whatever the heck it's worth. Burst of 64, range of 762. Oh, that's the plasma, not the chain gun. Here we go. Slots 2, 121 DPS. Sorry, I'm a little bit. I know you folks mean the best. Just, it's very easy, and I've done this myself, to get in the comments section into very unhelpful things. So, please speak your mind, but keep in mind there's reasons I do things, and a lot of it is just I mentally can't handle getting every little thing right, and I'm a perfectionist, so I actually beat myself up over not being smart with things. So please don't get on my case and make it even harder. Yeah, looks like that's an upgrade. Not trying to invest too much energy in this because I probably would like to do some Hearts Iron videos. That's the hardest series for me to do with low energy. Oh, the place I mounted it didn't have the right tier. Keep wanting to. That's right, you need to use arrow keys, not WASD, to move around. Amusing. Long bit of smart hole here. God, I want these inspiration designs gone. I think if I have enough things saved, it crowds them out, but could be wrong. I also looked up how to revert the ship easily down to 1 block, but then completely forgot it. So I don't even remember what I looked up. That's long COVID at work for you. I can look something up and then completely forget it. I have memory issues, so I have to act on things. This thing that I accidentally created, this long, slender smart hole. This might be useful. Let's see, that's the edge armor, titanium. Except I need to change the material tier of this. Where is it? Geo's box. Neonate smart hole. Specifically, I want the smart blank hole. I don't want the windows. They're just annoying. Mirror access to get this centered. You know what? Delete these are now, since I know they're going to be replaced, and because they're getting in the way of what I'm going to do here. Whew, that's pretty thick armor, actually. 0.65. I wonder if my ship was having issues. I like to, I build things that are blocky so that the armor is relatively thick for the total mass of armor, but this is too much. It's too much armor, honestly, especially when I'm going to upgrade this to something that relies on shields later. Which case I know I'm definitely not going to make the armor any thicker, so I'm going to do this. Create an overhang, which I wouldn't do if I was going to make it thicker later. It cause issues. Really big ships, you can make the armor thick in this, obviously, but for a ship this size, the armor's too thick. Let's see. F to focus, that's right. And then, this reminds me of KSP, which I really do want to, God, I don't remember how to shift the camera up and down, though. Camera controls, it's been a while. I can forward, back, left, right. Is it page up and down? I feel like I'm going to do something horrible if I... Doesn't work. Definitely not that. Nope. Not that key either. Whatever. Pretty sure I always use some kind of shortcut or another to get around lack of good camera controls in this game with the X, Y axis. With the Z axis, that's up and down. Or at least not having remembered. But I think, if I remember correctly, it's fairly obscure. Let's see. God, I hate that sound. You guys probably don't hear it because noise canceling feature. I've got something outside. Let me just say that. There we go. Technically overlaps a little bit into there because there's no easy way to create something that slopes down as it goes where the bottom comes up. I would actually need two pieces to that, and I like to keep the block count down on my ships. I think I looked stuff up because I was just about ready to just replace this ship entirely, since Neonate can be used for shield generators. Just completely redo the whole thing, but since one, I don't remember how I was going to do that, and two, I want to get stuff actually done for you guys. Guess that's not happening. Alright. Alright. There's a little bit of a gap under it, isn't there, for some reason? Which doesn't make sense. Oh, is this an edge armor under it? Oh, it is, so it slopes down, okay. In which case I'm going to want to make this taller. Same thing. There's no way to make the bottom come. So it is going to overlap a tiny bit. Like it's technically inside over here, just so that there isn't too much gap below here. And there is little, actually. Not trying to exploit the rules with overlap. It's just a matter of, shoot, I need that mirror to Y. Everything I just built. Fun. Great fun. Oops. Forgot to do that. There we go. It seems I'm unusually focused on getting this lined up. In terms of top, you'll soon realize why I'm doing it. Let me put it that way. Here we go. Sure, some of you watching this, if there are any viewers left after such a long time, and my slightly irritated rant there, may realized already why I'm doing this. I need an neonite base. This is basically a raised platform for a turret. The reason it's raised, besides not needing to then cut into the armor layer to create a base, is and technically providing a little extra protection. This is going to make the ship even harder to jump. Is because if it's raised up, you can see there's kind of an, you can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but there's kind of a angle here where a turret, although it's not really tall enough, but for the to fully utilize this, because it would have to be on the edge here, but it gets a little more capability, at least going down this way. I don't know if you can imagine the vector I'm doing, to fire over the edge off to the sides. It gives better visibility, basically the better arcs of fire. That's what they called it back when I was in ROTC. It's been a bit. I mean, that was with it was Army, so it was with infantry. I don't know if they have a different term in Navy stuff. I was in that once upon a time before medical clearance, because the cough some of you may hear that I occasionally have, that was the issue. That I have this cough, and even though it's not known why, it was presumed. And there's some childhood attempts to diagnose it that were just wrong. Thought it was asthma, but it doesn't matter, it's not asthma. The doctors in charge of medical stuff rightfully said this is probably an issue. It wasn't so bad then, and I was annoyed and disagree with the decision, but the cough's gone worse since, and I would say how bad it is now. Of course, what this convinced me of is that doctors know this is an issue, know things like this are an issue, and yet whenever I actually tried to deal with that, like it wasn't. When the doctor's interest was making sure that someone didn't end up in the military who has a medical issue that could get in the way of service, they would disqualify people or something like this. But when it came to just providing private healthcare, people actually try and cure the freaking issues, doctors would, oh no, it's no big deal, or I'll do a test, or excuses. Basically, they're doing only what's in their own personal interests, which were obviously aligned with the military somehow when they were doing that. The military is pretty smart about finding ways to align people's interests with doing what they want, making people want to do what they want. Always has been the U.S. military, but even getting foreign nationals sometimes to do what they want. But with collaborator governments in like Latin America, School of America is also known as the School of Assassins. Yeah. I've come to realize after the fact what terrible imperialism we do, and I had some friends who stayed in RTC and ended up becoming commissioned officers, and they said, man, you don't want to be in the military. There's so much imperialism. There's so much nasty stuff we do. Like, I can't even talk to you about it, but, like, I know you hate this stuff, and you would have... I bought too much of the nonsense about protecting the country, and I also wanted to... I had some cynicism about it even then, which is why they knew I wouldn't like that stuff. Some of my friends who stayed in, but I wanted to try and get some of the young, dumb idiots who would enlist because they know there are options in life. I'd say idiots, but they're not idiots. They're just people don't know anything about the world, naive. A lot of them didn't realize how bad they get screwed doing this, and they get sent like meat into a meat grinder because infantry are considered expendable. I wanted to try and get more of them alive home. Not as an infantry officer. I wasn't that crazy or suicidal. But I hope to do either intelligence, military intelligence. People joke it's an oxymoron because there's such low quality people that go into military intelligence. They're clueless, they're stupid. The people who are smart often end up working for the CIA or something instead. But I was hoping to be one of the smarter people and actually provide some good intel so that bad intel doesn't get people killed, or I eventually decided I'd try and do some of the medical support stuff, because they have all these field hospitals don't just have doctors, they have all kinds of support staff. So support staff in a field hospital, many of whom are, I just go through a normal officer training route. People handle logistics and stuff in field hospitals. A lot of that played into, though, the medical clearance issue. Ironically, even though working as logistics in a field hospital should not matter if you have a cough that much, it's not gonna like give away a position in the field. There's too many people want to do support specialties like that because they're not dangerous. They're like considered high demand, sort of high demand. At least they're considered cushier positions, and so the people in the battalion and the RTC battalion didn't want to work hard to get me medical clearance when they knew that that's what I decided I wanted to do earlier when I was thinking military intelligence or to be a cavalry scout, which is that's basically a reconnaissance. If anyone plays Hearts Iron 4, the light armored recon and armored recon companies you can add to divisions there, that's essentially what that is. And it's a very dangerous thing, even for the officers. When I was interested in these things, military intelligence or that, or reconnaissance, they were, I think, all too happy to maybe try and do the medical clearance thing. But when I said, logistics, well, they have tons of people want to be logistics officers, especially people who come from poor communities who are doing it for economic opportunity, because there's actually good job opportunities if you work in civilian logistics after. So medical logistics, and they're like, nah. My goal by that point was I decided I wanted to be a doctor, but I'd work in medical logistics, get to know doctors, maybe get a letter of recommendation from some I would acquire personal friendships with and work alongside, study for the MCAT, go to med school. I ended up finding a different path to medicine. I was on the verge of entering med school when I got long COVID anyways, a special master's program. The cost of that is you incur a ton of debt to basically just prove you can handle med school academics, and then oh, this is not trash. All right, I got this. I've got a bunch of extra guns now. I should probably consider, when I do a bigger ship, adding more slots for weapons, or I save those for a second ship, a smaller escort. I already have a minor subsystem. I did buy one of these earlier, didn't I? It's a little longer range. This is like 7-kilometer range. It's still kind of short range. I don't have a subsystem slot for it just yet. Very basic trading system. Alright, I'm accumulating too much junk, and I'm talking too much. Especially because I didn't want to sit here for a long time and do a terribly long video. Pirates there. Oop. Not manually. Gah. There we go. Autopilot, jump. So, barely can make the jump with this thing. Yeah, I'll have to enlarge it, give it new generators. But I can make the jump, and that's kind of all that matters. In a way, it's more efficient to have a smaller margin. Of course, it doesn't leave me much excess energy to, someone was talking about 2-to-1 energy ratio. I actually have more than that. They were lecturing me on it, and I literally have 2.5 times the needed energy generation. It's just that the ship is heavy. Let's get some. Oh, the autopilot doesn't quite. This needs a full battery charge before it'll. If I do this manually, I'll need to. Doesn't hurt to be moving too in case I get jumped by pirates. This doesn't feel fast, but 817 meters per second is incredibly fast to be moving relative to the surroundings. Although spacecraft, because there's no friction space, can easily reach thousands of meters a second relative velocity. It would be very fast to, say, approach something for docking, though, or to be moving that fast over a surface. Anyways, yeah, my RTC days, I guess, to tell a little bit more of the story. There was also a matter of swapping to a different battalion that was involved here. So, the one I was in initially would have probably been fine with. Maybe not fine with, but I don't know. The new one was. The one I was in initially was smarter. People better fit, but I actually started RTC when I was an undergrad, a senior, and then continued into a master's, which you can only do with the Army. You couldn't do it with Navy or Air Force, which also limit my options. I actually originally tried to do Marine RTC because I had some family that had been in the Marines, but which would have been stupid. Probably not fit the culture there as well as the Army, but different battalions, different cultures. The first one I was in was a school where it was much more intellectual group of people and respected in intelligence. And the second one, less so. And I literally had a squad leader who was a frat boy. Squad leaders are other cadets. And this guy was going around saying nasty things about me behind my back, which you're not supposed to do. That's very much against the ethical standards they expect of their cadets, especially of a squad leader, to people he's supposed to be leading. That's not good leadership to badmouth your own inferiors, and just because you don't like them, because someone's too much of a nerd for you and you're a frat boy, literally. That's about the nastiest possible reason to badmouth someone, and he eventually got kicked out of the battalion for this, but wasn't discovered even doing this till I had already left because of medical clearance. And before then, he had been, and they were trying to decide whether to do the medical clearance to me when they knew it was going to be kind of harder. And I'd gotten the preliminary disqualification from doctors who thought my cough would get worse over time, which they were probably right about, but it is possible to fight a decision like that and still get someone the clearance. When they were deciding whether to fight the decision or not, the battalion, and because very routinely the doctors would just reject people, and it's almost expected to fight decisions. It's kind of like if you're applying Social Security, disability, just to give it to example, something I've had to deal with the long COVID now. Pretty much everyone gets rejected initially for one reason or another, and it's almost expected that you'll fight it. Of course, that in fact becomes people who have the time and energy do it, but people who are really struggling for one reason or another, such as, their disability giving them very little energy or a bad living situation, will not be able to do it. And they're the people who probably need help the most. It's a messed up system, and it's meant to decrease the amount the government spends on disability by screwing over some people who won't get it, so that we can save tax money, so that we can cut taxes on the rich and corporations. It's really all about capitalist profits. But yeah, when they were trying to decide whether to fight the decision or not, as they often do, but they are only allowed to fight a limited number of decisions each year, and they had more people who were preliminary rejected this time, a lot more than they were allowed. So they were only going to be able to choose a certain number of people. How many waivers they're allowed to fight for is what it is. They call it medical waivers. It was rationed out not based on some sort of attempt to have some, I would call it universal standard of what's necessary to serve, but based on recruiting condition. That is, if the U.S. is gearing up, enlarging its military for a war they're about to fight, like Iraq, Afghanistan, they would distribute more waiver, higher waiver quota. They would allow RHC battalions to apply for more waivers, fight for more of them. If, on the other hand, as was the case at this time, they were actually downsizing the military, they would give fewer than normal waivers, which was the case at this time. I'd already witnessed someone a semester before me, before it came my turn. I thought she was a really good cadet, and she needed a waiver, and they didn't give her. They didn't even try and apply for one, for a minor gallbladder issue that shouldn't have ever been a real problem to serve. Anyways, it got me nervous, but when it became my turn, they solicit feedback from people who've worked with you, your superiors. My squad leader they didn't yet know was violating ethical standards and doing things he shouldn't. Didn't say good things about me, I understand, although that was not nearly enough for them. There were people who thought I was very smart and said positive things, but that guy's... They solicit a lot of opinions. Ultimately, it came, as I understand it, to be really close. The commandant of the battalion, or they call him the colonel, anyways, almost a... shouldn't mention he was a colonel. It's giving away too much information about myself, but the guy in charge of the battalion, the CO, almost did it anyways, It was a close thing, but I was TAing at the time, and he decided to do a kind of test on me, I'll call it. Play some what can only be described as head games. And I did not play along with this, let's just put it, because I was being asked to stay up all night grading pretty much at the same time as studying for finals. I was being abused and exploited by the people in charge of me TAing. They were violating the TA contract big time. TAs in the school actually made some major noise about this not too much longer, about how TA contracts are routinely being violated. So it wasn't, there was a huge issue with this. So it wasn't like I was unique. This was happening to dozens, maybe hundreds of people. It's a big school, right? Again, shouldn't mention that. But because this, he played this whole game, is there anything else you want to tell me about and some nonsense I'd had to deal with? My previous battalion was someone outside the battalion saying something false about me that ultimately had successfully managed to deal with this person badmouthing me, but there's a bit of a story there, because he was very nearly going to send for a waiver. He consulted the previous battalion without telling me about how I'd done, and I guess among other things he had heard from one of my previous, I think, what's the word, primary military instructors, that was one of the most brilliant people she had ever seen go through the battalion, and that my raw intelligence could be a great asset if they could mold me into a capable leader. She did not hold her punches. That there were parts of my personality and social skills I need to work on to really be an effective leader, but that particular member of the cadre probably made a point of saying it would have been a great asset. So I guess he was almost willing to do it. But point is, he played this kind of head game. He thought he was somehow testing my honesty, and I was just like, look, I can't talk to you right now. I've got to go grade tests all night. So I don't think I put it in quite those terms. I think I said, I just can't talk right now. Didn't want to seem like I was a complainer, so I didn't mention specifically I have to go grade like 45 exams or something ridiculous and like overnight with the length of these, with the essays people are writing. I think this was like a take-home exam kind of thing. Remember, some people were massively exceeding the length limits. I wasn't allowed to just like fail them or something for writing more than they were supposed to. Not that I would have. I'm not that kind of person. But we did have some problem students who were writing way more than they were supposed to, and the most I could do was give mild feedback. This is too long. Please be more succinct. I had to deal with these the entire semester. Students, some of them doing that. Anyways, it's because the professor used this dumb rubric where she basically points if you said certain things on the responses. And so the easiest way to make sure you got lots of points in your grading was to just write a ton and talk about everything. There was no penalty for saying things that were incorrect, usually. I think she eventually started to revise, but the rubric's that way, but it was too late. The students had figured out that they could do this, and it's hard to break a habit like that after it gets started. Anyways, and in the past, this class had 2 TAs, but because of budget constraints, the university reduced it to 1, while doubling the size of the class. So what should have been 4 TAs, double the class size, remember, was just me, 1. So they were massively overworking me. anyways, the CEO thought that because they didn't have time to talk to him, that I was somehow not being honest about things. They actually made a mental plan to talk to about him in about a week after I was done with the TAing stuff. And obviously honesty is a very important thing in the military, but I was not being dishonest by saying I don't have time to talk right now. I wasn't trying to cover anything up. But I probably would have rather enjoyed telling the guy about the nonsense I dealt with and how I had successfully navigate the bullshit I was going through. Just to have that off my mind, worrying that he would later find out, because I was of the understanding he hadn't yet found out about this, but probably would. Hang over me, you know, having that. Pirates are attacking. Gosh, what was the relations improved? I didn't shoot anything, did I? Oh, maybe my automated defense turrets did. What was... I can't remember the key binding for selecting nearest enemy. Well, it's been a bit. Let's see. It's got to be listed here, right? Build slots, squad, command, toggle, swap. Free look. Oh, tab. No, that's any target. That won't do it. I need hostile targets, specifically. R. Nearest enemy. That's what I thought. Pressed R and it didn't do anything. Weird. They must have died instantly. Not before I took my point defense scans. Took some pot shots, apparently. Well, I don't begrudge getting a free faction approval. But yeah, it's probably for the best saying anything about the military, because knowing how my life went after that, I would have had a long path to med school. Probably would have ended up deciding I was going to do 20 years to get the military retirement. Might have switched to, like, well, I probably would have done the National Guard just because it would have been less commitment, but they have some people who are like guard and they're basically reservists, and there's others who are, they have some people who are like full-time all the time. But yeah, I mean, I knew that the whole Iraq-Afghanistan thing was going to be over, so I talked about getting young, dumb people home, you know, in the event that a major war broke out. Another Iraq or Afghanistan, which didn't happen historically. We know now. I mean, the U.S. did some bombing of Libya and the imperialist nonsense where we had special forces in West Africa and Latin America. We, of course, killed some people, and all this kind of stuff happened. Much of it never making the news, but nothing that where we sent, you know, like dozen divisions to a country again. That hasn't happened since Afghanistan. So, but I would have spent a bunch of time not doing much good, dealing with whatever nonsense I might have to deal with. And I know there's nonsense because I'd heard horror stories from some people about, like, there's one guy who talked about being in the reserves and getting bullied and people putting like oil in his sleeping bag and stuff. I met this guy once, like an actual, not in ROTC, just as at a bus station, I think it was. He was talking about his experiences. I could understand kind of why he was probably bullied. This guy just even rubbed me, for my first impression, a little bit the wrong way. Though I know better than to bully someone just because they seem weird to you. But, people can be cruel like that. They don't think something is quite right about somebody, they'll just bully them mercilessly, never try and figure out what's going on with that person, if they can help or whatever. The Zostin over there. Well, I haven't shot them yet, so they're not actually hostile to me. Oh, I see a wreck. But yeah, it's possible I might have gotten sidetracked from the stuff I ended up doing, like working as an EMT or doing a program to get to med school. Of course, it's also possible I wouldn't have been in a place where I ever got exposed to coronavirus so many times. I got it twice before I got long COVID. Maybe I would have gotten it only once or not at all. The first time I didn't get long COVID. Your risk goes up with each reinfection. So maybe in all history where things happen differently, I would have been fine. My life wouldn't have been over, even though there's no knowing. I could have just as well messed around in the military for a long time. Still gotten disabled. Or maybe government would have been less likely to screw me on falsely coming out work history that I in fact did not lack. If it had been the military that had been my main work history instead of civilian stuff. You know, because screwing over soldiers and former soldiers is a really bad idea for any government. I mean, that's how the U.S. almost had a fascist coup in the 30s. Where a group of business elites were nervous about FDR taking office. Why is this not making the jump successfully? I made it before. Oh, it's the cargo. It's too heavy. Look at all this stuff that needs refining. I literally can't make a direct jump. Where's the nearest? I guess I'll have to jump by gates. Use the gate network to get there. Insatiable Rise 3 is the gate I need. And the autopilot's not super efficient. Getting in there? Yeah, I should have, would have. There's no telling how life would have gone if one big thing had happened differently in your life. And that's, I guess, the fantasy of why we have movies where people like time travel, or there's multiverse stuff, parallel universe where one minor thing changed everything. You know, butterfly effect. I don't know. Which reminds me of a joke someone made once about was the guy who ended up the CEO of Facebook, who originally created Facebook as a very inappropriate app to rate how sexy, I'll call it. That's not the word that was used. How appealing to sleep with college girls were. Yes, the guy was an asshole and a pervert even then. Zuckerberg. That's Mark Zuckerberg. I remember someone making a joke about if a butterfly masturbates in its room and it creates a hurricane in another state, you know, the butterfly effect joke. They were talking about what if I think it was from the YouTube show Some More News, and the guy was talking a theoretical what if Mark Zuckerberg had never created Facebook and some other company had ended up, because it's not like Zuckerberg was some unique genius and Facebook wouldn't have existed without him. Somebody else inevitably would have come up with a similar idea maybe a few months later. In fact, there were actual competing sites that did the same thing. So if there hadn't been Facebook, one of those competitors would have just ended up filling the niche. Maybe there are reasons why Facebook outcompeted them, so maybe it would have taken a little longer. Because maybe their CEOs were less aggressive in expanding or something. But it still would have happened. There still would have been a Facebook-like thing by this point in history. Maybe a couple months or a couple years slower, but still would have happened. And Zuckerberg maybe wouldn't be messing with, our politics, because I'm sure some of you know he's been very involved with U.S. politics lately and playing games and sucking up to Trump. Playing games with, pretending he's not being political while he is. And he's a prick. He's always been a bad guy, Zuckerberg. Whether that's popular to say in a particular side of the political alignment depends on who he's screwing over at a particular moment in time. There were times where the MAGA people hated him, and there are times where Democrats hated him. I don't know particularly at this moment in time who he's unpopular with and popular with, but the fact that it's been both groups at different times should tell you something. He is a jerk, and it really doesn't matter what just happened yesterday. The long-term pattern is of being a jerk that annoys everyone. Okay, well, here we go. I only did a little mining, less than expected, but I got a little bit in the way of resources. Passed a little time. Obviously, what I need to do is just completely redesign this ship soon, or add on a big segment with generators, additional generators. No, I'm not going to do solar panels. I don't consider it realistic to have them completely covered in armor and yet still functional somehow. It doesn't make sense. I've done that when I was very new at the game before I realized you could do generators after you reached the titanium tier. But to be efficient, I should probably just redo the whole ship. If I add a external cement with generators, it's just gonna be a lot more armor weight, or I'm gonna have the armor be pretty thin over those generators. Four auto turrets. I don't know if this works in others. I currently only have 2. Anything else worth buying? Pulse mining. Another PDC. This is marginally better than the one I currently have. I'll eventually need more. It is nanite, so I'll have to... When I redesign this ship, that'll be useful. Probably need most of the remaining credits for the redesign. Next time I log on, there'll be different things for sale. Maybe I'll buy one thing, we'll see. Until next time, though, I hope you folks enjoyed the video. I apologize if my RAM chatter to pass the time was annoying, rubbed you the wrong way. When I'm bored with there's not much going on in these games, I tend to talk to try and fill the time, keep you folks interested. Maybe even better if some of you are irritated than if you're bored out of your mind, but I don't know, maybe not. Not that I'm trying to aggravate people, but maybe I'm being less cautious than I should by irritating some of you. Because I know some people hate anything to do with politics or even people's personal stories as it relates to bigger issues. Well, anyways, I need to stop being so hard on myself and just play. I hope you folks enjoyed. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may always find a guiding star to lead you home. Until next time, this is Northstar. Adieu, and best luck.